Are there any dead men that need to be awakened in this chat right now? If
Guilty.
so, if so, I'm sure we'll be livened up by this conversation about Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out tale or Knives Out mystery on Netflix now. Guys, welcome to the chat.
Hello.
Hello.
How we doing?
We're gonna dive into conversation about Wake Up Dead Man, and let me just go ahead and get this out of the way. This is gonna be a spoiler-filled conversation, okay?
Yes.
Like, let's not even beat around the bush. It is tough to talk about this movie without getting into details, and I want to make sure that we can have a comprehensive conversation. So if you have not seen Wake Up Dead Man, it's available on Netflix. And if you're not too scorned by the merger news with Netflix, definitely check it out. And I think it's a fun party movie. It's a fun movie to watch with a bunch of people. So if you haven't seen it, gather some friends, family, and give that a watch. But if you have seen it, yeah, we're gonna dive into that conversation. So, all right, Wake Up Dead Man. Where do we start here? I want to get your guys's knee-jerk reaction. Actually, let's start with Knives Out experience. Raj, we'll start with you. What's been your experience with the Knives Out franchise so far?
Yeah, I was really high on the first one. I'm a huge Rian Johnson fan. I love Looper. I love The Last Jedi. I'm a big fan of Rian Johnson. And I feel like I saw the original Knives Out in the proper setting. It was like a film festival crowd, sort of a premiere. And I really liked it. I was completely on board with it. I thought it was a fresh sort of original fun take on murder mystery. I thought Daniel Craig was awesome. And then I thought it took a pretty massive step down with Glass Onion personally. I was not on board. I saw it in a similar setting in like sort of a film festival crowd, and you could just kind of feel the crowd disconnect from it. I feel like these movies do play better with crowds. But I just thought it got a little too convoluted and wasn't quite as interesting or quite as funny and entertaining as the original. So I really like the first one, not as high on the second one.
All right. Matthew, how about you? What's been your experience with the Knives Out franchise?
Oh, I love all three of them. I loved the first one when I saw it, which I believe I saw it in a cinema. It's been a few years now. I love the second one as well. I think I should put the second one on my like favorite movies of whatever year that was list, the year it came out. In particular because I just really enjoyed the very pointed satire of a very specific kind of person in it. And I thought it's more satire and funnier than the first one, although maybe not quite as satisfying a mystery. And I have loved this one as well. Spoiler alert. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Rian Johnson as well. I think I've loved all of his movies. I think, he also directed the best 3 episodes of Breaking Bad. And he also just seems like, from everything I'm being able to gather about the man in terms of just like listening to him speak and having other people speaking about him, he also just seems like a genuinely like thoughtful, nice person, and I find that really refreshing to know about an auteur filmmaker, because usually they turn out to be dickheads. So I just like that I like his whole vibe. So I've liked all of his movies is the short way to put it.
Very cool. Shawn, give us your history with Knives Out.
Oh, I have a very fond history with all of these movies. I saw the first one at my first ever TIFF back in 2019. I love that movie. It's going to sound really weird, but it's a very comforting movie for me, despite it being about a murder. I just love the characters, the world he's built within all these movies. And I really enjoy Glass Onion. I also saw that at TIFF. And having rewatched it after seeing it at TIFF, it's definitely dropped a bit for me. But I'm very interested in the opinion on that movie, too, because even with what we've already talked about here, it's pretty divisive. So I think that's really interesting. But they've both been very fun. And even with Wake Up Dead Man, I found it very enjoyable. And I think regardless of our opinions on these movies, I just love that Rian Johnson has been able to make these original movies with these original characters and get these stories made. And they become beloved and they become like an IP of their own. Like I have friends who are much more casual movie watchers, and I hung out with them yesterday, and the movie came out 2 days ago, and they've already watched it. And they're not usually on top of movies like that. So I love seeing that. I love seeing movies like this. And yes, Netflix is the devil a lot of times, but I do like that these movies are accessible, that people are getting to watch them despite not being able to see them in a theater. For most people, I just love what these movies have become, this franchise.
Yeah, good take. Luca, how about you? What's been your history?
Well, when I first saw Knives Out, it was funny because, geez, let me remember. I think I had Thanksgiving plans that day, and then they fell through. And so my mom took me to go see the first Knives Out, and it was magic. It was during that kind of very formative age. 2019 was very formative, I think, for a lot of cinephiles my age, because we had like Knives Out, and we had Marriage Story, we had The Irishman, we had God knows what. But Knives Out was like, as Shawn said, like a very like it had such a widespread commercial like what's the word, draw to it, and I think that's what made it so rewatchable. Like for me, I've seen the first Knives Out maybe 5 times minimum.
Same.
And then Glass Onion I saw at my first TIFF and I loved it. However, I think it does speak to that I haven't rewatched it. It's the only Knives Out that I haven't rewatched. But I still have such fond memories of it. Like it was me and like my girlfriend, 2 of my closest friends. You know, it was the whole Q&A. Like Rian Johnson was there, Daniel Craig was there, being as beautiful as ever. Ed Norton was making the whole crowd laugh. So it was a great memory for me, even if I haven't revisited it since. And Wake Up Dead Man, it really ties the whole trilogy together in a nice little bow. We'll talk more about it later, but again, I have rewatched Wake Up Dead Man and not Glass Onion, so I think that speaks to maybe Glass Onion's faults.
It is interesting, everyone's experience. I feel like there's so much positivity with this franchise. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure I saw the first Knives Out probably on streaming. I don't remember seeing that in the theater. Maybe I did. I don't remember. It was a while ago now, but I know that I saw Glass Onion at TIFF, which was such a cool experience because this was when they had that big dome theater a part of the festival. It was down the way. I don't remember what the theater is called.
The Cinesphere, rest in peace.
Yeah, it's not there
wait,
anymore.
So you saw Glass Onion in IMAX?
I did,
Cool.
which might skew my perspective because like I'm a big Janelle Monáe fan, loved her. Like, you know, movie's gonna be 5 stars just because she's in it. But then I did get to see it in IMAX, and that was such a cool experience. That massive screen and just a really awesome theatrical experience for me. So I definitely skew more positive on Glass Onion than most people do because of that first experience, I'm sure. And I have rewatched it, and I like it. I like it the second time too. So I land very positive on both the first Knives Out and in Glass Onion. And I just love that these movies are such TIFF movies. Like TIFF is just going to premiere these movies every time, and that's how it should be, right? And so I expect every time I go to TIFF, when there's a Knives Out movie, I expect that it will be there, and I expect to see it in Toronto.
I assume that by every time you mean every 3 years like clockwork. If there's any,
it's literally.
I sincerely hope so. I hope Rian Johnson and Daniel Craig do this until they die. That would be great.
You and me both.
Yeah. So yeah, high expectations there, guys, for the future. But yeah, no, I think that's what I've gotten out of every conversation that I've had with people about the franchise is no matter where you there's widely varying opinions, including with Wake Up Dead Man, which we'll get to in a minute. About how much each person likes each movie, and I think you can ask a bunch of people, and so many of them will have very different rankings of which ones they like more. But the consensus is that they're all fun and entertaining movies, and even the worst one is still better than most entertainment you get in cinema. So yeah, there's that, and I guess kind of segueing into my feelings on Wake Up Dead Man. So I had the chance to see it, of course, at TIFF, which there was a part of me that almost skipped it at TIFF because it was also playing in Vancouver, and I was going to cover the Vancouver Film Festival. So there's a part of me that's like, do I spend TIFF time on Wake Up Dead Man? And halfway through that thought, I had my ticket at TIFF. So like, yes. See it in Toronto. So I got to see it in Toronto, and then I watched it again in Vancouver because I did enjoy it that much. It's such a fun film, and I personally think It's my favorite of the three. Um, and and I don't know. I also might be one of those weird people that prefer Glass Onion over the first one. Again, I have my biases. So in my world, Knives Out has gotten better and better with each film, and so that's where I'm at with that. I'm going to come back through you guys. Let's get your initial takes on Wake Up Dead Man and how you feel about it. Luca, we're going to jump back to you.
What a great year for the Joshes this has been. Good golly. I mean, O'Connor was in this little Sundance movie that I heard did really well called Rebuilding. The Mastermind, some of my friends didn't really like, but you know, it's Kelly Reichardt, so how can you not like? I mean, well, you can not like Kelly Reichardt. I know Kelly Reichardt's not for some people. But and Brolin with Weapons and Running Man, and now this. I think he has a fourth movie coming out this year, but I may be wrong. But good Lord, such great performances all around. I was kind of too young for the kind of like Glenn Close heyday. So, wow, what a great performance from her. She really knocked me on my ass. And even just like the supporting cast, like little bits like Noah Sagan being the funny bartender, Thomas Hayden Church as the groundskeeper, Andrew Scott as just whatever, like a right-wing grifter nut job. I just thought the satire was a lot more pointed and kind of clean than the last movie was. The last movie was just a little too on the nose, which I get, but again, it's still super fun. So like whatever. I just adored this movie. Most of it just coming from how much of a bleeding heart Josh O'Connor is as an actor and as a character. There's a scene that's been floating around the internet that I've just been endlessly rewatching. And it's a bit, I forget the actress's name, but there's a bit where Josh O'Connor's character takes a phone call for somebody who needs prayer. And I don't know, I feel like as of late, we've had such like a jaded perception of religion. And so I think it's nice to see a movie that actually treats it the way that it should be treated.
Mm-hmm.
You're speaking about Louise in the story, right? That's Bridget Everett.
Yes.
Is her name.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I the religion component is a thing I think I want to talk about a little bit more, because I had very interesting thoughts about how this movie tackled that, and so we'll come back to that. That's a really great point. Matthew, let's go ahead and get your take on Wake Up Dead Man.
I also loved it. Just for the record, Thomas, I don't think you're alone. I love all three of them, but I think it does go 3-2-1 ranking for me.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I think that I think they're all super satisfying mysteries. I think they're also, for me personally, the sort of the whodunit style and locked room mysteries are exactly the kind of mysteries that I love. The ones where they put all the pieces on the table, and maybe I can figure it out ahead of time, maybe not, or at least part of it. Like this time, I figured out who did it earlier, but not necessarily why, which I think is also just a very interesting way for these things to go. But then also, like, I really love that this year has been a year for films preaching, for lack of a better word, for mercy and kindness and empathy. You saw that with this movie and with Superman and with all kinds of a bunch of other movies as well that have very much been like, we need to stop and remember that we're people and remember the important things. And that really resonated with me this time. And that's before we get into the fact that the cast is absolutely stacked and everyone is great. And I would love to see Glenn Close get an Oscar nomination for this movie, because I think she's so wonderful, and the last time she was nominated was terrible. So I would love to see that erased.
Yeah.
But also, this is very much, I really enjoyed the structural change in that the first 45 minutes of this movie doesn't have Benoit Blanc in it. That it's, which, spoilers, I guess. But I really love the structural change, and I really love that this was like the Josh O'Connor show. I think he's a spectacular performer. I think that more people need to watch, like The Crown, and in particular a film.
Dude, thank you for mentioning The Crown.
And in particular, a film from the mid-teens called God's Own Country, which is a very small British drama. And everything else he's done too, to be fair. Like Challengers was my favorite film of the year last year. So, but this is another one where like he just puts it all on the screen, man, and he's so good. He's so good at changing on a dime from like, if the scene needs slapstick, he's slapstick. If it needs like radical empathy, he gives radical empathy, and he's able to switch on a dime between those two things, and it's just wonderful to watch. And then, as much as Daniel Craig is debatably the best Bond, I think this may be the role he was born to play. He is so good every time, and he is clearly having the time of his life doing it. And so all of that combined with this one being probably the most thematically rich of the three, I think makes it it's easy, my favorite of the three, and it's probably one of the better films of the whole year, would be my just to get hyperbolic about it a little bit.
Why not? Raj, how about you? What did you think about Wake Up Dead Man?
Yeah, I'm surprised to hear that I feel like I'm the most sour on this franchise of the batch of people that are on this. But
get out.
I know. And like I said, I love the first one, and maybe it's my own baggage and bringing the high expectations of that one into the rest of the franchise. I think this one for me is better than Glass Onion, but not as good as the original personally. I agree a lot with what most of the people have said, especially the Josh O'Connor bit. I'm a huge fan of his as well, since as well as The Crown. And I think that he is definitely one of sort of the best young actors working right now. And to have him lead that first act of the movie and sort of carry it and let Daniel Craig take a little bit of a backseat, I think was certainly the right choice. I just didn't find that this movie had the propulsion that I wanted it to. I didn't feel quite as invested in the mystery. I thought it was a bit too long personally. That said, I do agree with the sort of thematic bits, and like you guys said, we'll talk about the religion aspect to it. Well, it was interesting to see Rian Johnson sort of investigate that, not to use a pun there, but yeah, I like this one. And I mentioned earlier that I had seen the previous two in a film festival setting. I'm interested to hear how you guys all watched this one as well, because this is the first one that I watched on Netflix on streaming and not with the crowd. I wasn't able to catch it at a festival or in theaters here in New York when it was playing, unfortunately. And I feel like that might have contributed to my experience. I feel like I might have had a better time if I watched this with people. I'm also interested to go back and rewatch it. I have rewatched the first one a few times. I haven't rewatched Glass Onion. And I feel like these movies do improve on rewatches. You get to notice a few more of the little details. So I am excited to rewatch this one, hopefully soon. But I'm not like rushing back to my TV to see it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I enjoy, some of the pivots and twists that it takes throughout the film, but I think overall it's a little bit of a mixed bag for me personally.
Fair enough. I'll try not to judge you too much for not being more positive. No, that's a good take.
For the record, I also watched it on Netflix.
Okay, nice. And then Shawn and Luca, you guys saw it at TIFF, right?
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
Shawn,
it was. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Shawn. Yes.
Okay. I really enjoyed this movie. I think we all talk about how amazing all of the casts in these movies are, and people are starting to talk about this now that all three movies are up. I think what really defines these movies is the main supporting character that works alongside Benoit Blanc. I think the movie is just as strong as Benoit Blanc is in those movies as the character that he's like side by side with, if that makes sense. Like Ana de Armas, great in the first Knives Out. Janelle Monáe, absolutely incredible. Like she's like career best performance from her personally. I know she doesn't have like the biggest resume, but that really just showed me the type of actress that she is, and I think to a lot of people as well. And then Josh O'Connor just getting this role at the perfect time of his career. I really think it just could not have been better timing for him. And he is given so much to do. And like Matthew was saying, where in the first 45 minutes, where it really is the Josh O'Connor movie. Like you're watching this and you're like, is this a Knives Out movie? But he's such a compelling character. He's so flawed, but so likable because it's Josh O'Connor. And he wants to do good. He wants to do his job. He wants to do the right thing. But he's just making mistakes. And that's okay because he's human. and it just obviously spirals into everything. But it was a lot of fun watching these characters. I think my biggest issue with this movie, and we can talk about it, is not the characters themselves, because everybody is really good, but I think the way they were used, I wasn't loving. What I love about the first Knives Out movie is how they're a family, because when they're having these conversations together, it's some of the best stuff in the entire franchise. I think the scene in the first movie with the will reading and they're all arguing with Chris Evans is absolutely brilliant. And I'm not saying that I want to see another family, like a copy of the first movie, but I just wish there was more connectivity between them. I know that there is, and they explain that and all, but I just wanted more stuff with them, more maybe group scenes that just packed a bit more punch than what we got. But overall, I really enjoyed it, and I would never complain if he announced today that there was another Knives Out movie with a completely new cast of characters. It's just so much fun. He brings something different every time to these movies, and I know that when he announces a new one, it is not going to be like the first, second, or third one. So I really hope that we get more.
Yeah, this is. I think that's a really good point. I have come to loathe the announcement of new sequels and spin-offs and like the extension of franchises. Like I think that it's just a recipe for a beloved property going sour. Most times sooner rather than later. And so that is certainly something that I think differently on with Knives Out. Announce another Knives Out movie with a totally different cast. Let's go, because I know that Rian Johnson isn't just going to carbon copy. He's not putting these out just because of demand. He's putting these out because he has entertainment to make and interesting stories to tell. And so that's a really good point. I'm curious. Matt, go ahead.
Just say that it's really interesting to talk about too, because like these days, and like just outing myself as the oldest person in the room, but like these days, like everything's a CU, right? Like for better or for worse, like since Marvel, pretty much everything is a connected universe. Everything is spun off from one another. But this is actually a really old school way of making movies, right? Like the only connective tissue in these films is that Benoit Blanc is in them, and they are a mystery. Like this is just the way that we used to make movies. And I think that is super refreshing. You could watch these in any order you want, and that would be totally fine. And I kind of miss that. Like I don't need everything to be a saga. I don't need everything to be an ongoing story. This makes me think of movies like I don't know, like the Saint series, which I don't know if you guys have seen it, but like they made 9 Saint movies between like 1945 and 54. Like it's wild, and you can watch them in any order you want, because they're all just, the only thing that they are is like a handsome man running a grift and saying fun things, and like that's all those movies need to be. And I really appreciate that these are bringing that style back.
That's such an interesting point. I'm trying to think, is there any indication in any of the movies which ones happened first in Benoit's career?
No, I don't think so.
There's only one indication, and that's that Daniel Craig looks a little bit older in each one.
Yeah,
that's true, right? But like he also changes his style every time, and so like I don't know, like narratively speaking, there's no reason that Wake Up Dead Man couldn't have happened before the first Knives Out movie. Like,
did you guys did you like the flow?
Amazing.
I think if you had pitched that concept, that appearance to me, like verbally, I would have been like, that will look stupid. But he pulls it off so well. I mean, that's just the magic of Daniel Craig being able to put on this character.
He's just beautiful.
Yeah,
he is. This is true.
But I think the answer to your question is like, is there any indication? The actual answer is it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It really doesn't.
Like you can just watch them in whatever order you want. There's not enough connective tissue for it to make a difference. It's just he's going to show up and solve, it's like Poirot. He's going to show up and solve a mystery, and that's the movie you're going to get.
Yeah, I guess I was just wondering, like, does he reference any of the previous mysteries in the current mystery? And I don't think so either.
No, and even in this one, I can't remember. I had to go back and watch. It's been a minute since I watched the first one or the second one. But in this one, they do reference a prior mystery that he solved, but it's not one that we've seen.
True. Yeah.
And I really like that. I like that it indicates that, the character exists outside of these 3 movies as well. Like, he's definitely done more stuff. It's not just self-contained to the 3 we've seen. He's in the world. He is world famous, and I really love that.
But it's so prudent because it would be so easy to be like, oh yes, back in this one mystery that I solved, and it's glass onion, right? Like, this wealthy man on an island. And you could very easily like make those references and just kind of be self-referential in what's already done. But like Rian Johnson doesn't. He does not feel the need to identify any of the mysteries he's made in these movies. And that is so refreshing in a time when connected universes, Matt, as you were saying, it's kind of like imperative that we connect everything, and there's connected tissues, and sometimes that's appropriate. Obviously, in the Avengers Infinity Saga showed that you could do it successfully. That's one of the examples where things sour later rather than sooner. But yeah, Shawn.
I wanted to go off of what you're saying, Thomas, because I was thinking the exact same thing, where Marvel found a lot of success with this shared universe. So they thought, oh, if we give people a bit of homework, we're going to be fine. And they made all of the money in the world. So of course, I don't think we should blame them for thinking that. But then you get this oversaturation of more movies per year, all these TV shows, and they're all not doing well. And I really am interested to see how these numbers on Netflix do for Wake Up Dead Man. Because if they do phenomenal numbers, which I'm hoping it will be very interesting to see how the industry takes that as, okay, if they make these movies that, are known IPs, but don't need to be referenced from other movies, or you don't need to watch previous movies, like, is there something we can do with them? And I hope it encourages studios and filmmakers to do this, where if it's not that people don't want to see new things, that if you make something that becomes beloved and people talk about it, an audience will form, and it will become something that people want to watch and will make money and will get viewership. So I really hope that the right lessons are taken out of this when it becomes successful, because I'm sure it will.
That's so optimistic. Let's talk about Netflix for a second, because I find myself caught in this very unfortunate conundrum of and look, there was a time when I was rooting for Netflix, right? I remember when Roma came out, and I'm like, yes, Netflix is getting into the Oscars game. They're making quality films, cinematic films. Like, yes, I am so excited for Netflix. And now I'm like, look at the monster that this has become.
Yeah, now it's like I'm praying for movies not to get picked up by Netflix at festivals.
And I personally started feeling this way when they picked up Hitman.
Oh
I'm with you on that one.
The disappointment that just rushed over me. Because I wanted it in the theater, and we all know that Netflix is not trying to put movies in theaters, and so Hitman could have been a hit. Like, we don't get good comedies that often anymore, and I would love for people to have a reason to take a chance on a comedy in a theater, and then Netflix got it, and that's kind of when I started being like, all right, Netflix, I think we're yeah.
I remember when Netflix won the bid for Knives Out, and people were terrified because they knew that this franchise that was supposed to have these sequels in theaters was going to go straight to Netflix. And I remember we were begging Netflix for years to give it a release. And at that time, I don't think they had ever given anything a wide release. And I think that's when they finally caved. I think Glass Onion was the first movie to get a wide cinematic release. And it was just for 2 weeks, I think. And that was a step forward. And I think that made people a bit optimistic. And since the pandemic, I believe Netflix puts a lot of their movies out in wide release for a couple of weeks. I saw Jake Kelly in the theater, which was a lot of fun. But it even sucks to hear someone like Raj, who saw the first 2 movies in theaters, didn't have the time to see this one in theaters. If it was in a regular theatrical release, he could have seen it. But he couldn't, because they put it out for 2 weeks. It's a busy time of the year, and he didn't deserve that, because he loves these movies. A lot of people love these movies that they didn't get to see. Like, it really is unfortunate. I'm glad they're putting it in theaters, but this is not something that we should just be settling for. Like, we really need to fight for more from Netflix, but I don't know if they're ever going to budge. I think they took this 2-week theatrical window, which seems like the minimal amount of work they need to put in for these movies to get consideration, and like that's all they'll do, which sucks.
But that's exactly what it is, right? Like, they didn't put Glass Onion in theaters for 2 weeks because we begged them to. They put Glass Onion in
Mhm.
cinemas for 2 weeks because the first one got a screenwriting nomination and they wanted
True.
another.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. They put Jake Kelly in festivals and then in cinemas for 2 weeks so that people can see it and vote for it to win Oscars and Golden Globes. Like that's,
Mhm.
and it's very cynical. And I'm,
Yeah.
I'm not as like down on like Netflix as a filmmaking company. Like I think that people are like, oh, Netflix, they make only crap. Like no, Netflix makes tons of amazing stuff. Like they make great
Mhm.
movies every year. I just don't think they treat them very well. Like to Thomas's point, I wasn't actually very high on Hitman, but I was a little bit disappointed when they picked it up because, and it's not that I think that they are, again, like they make good choices. It's a good movie to pick up. It's a great movie
Mhm.
for Netflix to pick up. My problem with it is that it disappears into the algorithm, never to be seen again.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and like, I know it's popular for people to be like, oh, we could go to a video store and like browse the catalog and like, but also like, yeah, a little bit. Like I find that discoverability on streaming services is not great. And I
It's a
worry
pain in the
about,
ass, man.
but I just
Mhm.
worry that like, yeah, like it's hard to like find stuff that's new. The algorithm is so targeted. And it's also just like, it's not even whether you liked it or not. It's whether you've seen like more than, I don't know, 5.5, whatever the number is of minutes you
Mhm.
have to see for it to recommend something. So it's not very good. It's not very good for me anyway, because I watch so much stuff.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then
I
like my problem with Netflix these days isn't even that. My problem is that like you got Ted Sarandos out there being like, "Oh, people want to watch movies at home, so we don't put them in cinemas." As if people aren't watching the movie at home because he doesn't put them in the goddamn cinemas. Like it's self-fulfilling, and I hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I share your guys' frustration completely. Like, I mean, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it, but I have like Wake Up Dead Man pulled up. The showtime's in an hour. Look how many this is the blue is still like vacant, but like this is a good
Mhm.
amount of people still going to the movie theater. It's Sunday at 2:30.
Mhm.
And like that's a good amount of people. And
Right.
like, oh my God, like I was showing
People
this
will
to my
show up.
roommate the other day, because it just frustrated the shit out of me. Like I was going through Netflix because Train Dreams had just dropped on Netflix.
Ah, yes.
And I
Another
wanted to
movie, by
take a
the way,
look.
that should have been seen more in theaters. That movie's
Mhm.
beautiful.
So
Gorgeous
good.
film.
I regret not having seen that film in
Same
cinemas,
here.
But like,
especially since it's a
Yeah,
high
same.
contender for my favorite of this whole year.
But like I go to
Mhm.
like their algorithm sorting methods or whatever, like drama films, awards buzz, stuff like that. And I have to sift through like 15 layers of crap just to get to their new movie.
Mhm.
Like again, like I'm no shade to like the old guard, for instance, but that's from like 4 years ago. Why am I getting recommended the old guard over their new movie? Like it's so backwards, and like I don't know. Shawn, you're kind of preaching to the choir earlier. I really like how frustrated you just were is how I've been feeling for, I mean, like Thomas said, since they picked up Hitman.
Mhm.
Like, and I don't know, it's so self-destructive.
Mm.
The way that, like, again, like, Sarandos is like, oh, like, people want to watch movies at home. My son watched Lawrence of Arabia on his iPhone. And it's like, you are creating the circumstances for what you are talking about.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
It's just so ass backwards, and it's frustrating because this movie is so fucking good.
What I
Roger,
find interesting is that like I'm not even a purist here. Like this is a controversial thing to say out loud because I'm an old man and a cinema lover, but like I would argue that his son watching Lawrence of Arabia on his phone is at least his son watching Lawrence of Arabia, right?
interesting.
Ideal?
Yeah.
Ideal? No, sure. But at least he's watching it, assuming
Mhm.
that he's actually, and like maybe in some way that's a better thing because if you're watching it on your phone, it's a lot harder to get distracted by your phone.
Actually, that's a valid point.
um, but yeah, I mean, like, but I would hope that that kind of thing would lead to people being like, I watched Lawrence of Arabia on my phone. This looked really good. Maybe I want to watch it on a bigger screen. Like
Mhm.
I just don't believe that pipeline exists, and I don't believe Netflix. I know for a fact Netflix does not care about it. So
Mhm. Maybe I would feel a little different if they did like create that pathway to cinema, but they don't care about the getting movies in theaters. They just their platform.
Well, they don't
Raj,
make money. They don't make money from cinemas, right? They make money from
Right.
people paying $20-some a month or whatever it is now. It's a lot now. I don't.
And I think
Yeah,
what I've
it's
noticed is that
ridiculous.
I've noticed that people just like the movies less when they watch it on Netflix. Like what Roger said, how he didn't really enjoy Wake Up Dead Man as much as he wanted to, or like even like I don't know. I feel like I see this all the time on the dregs of the internet, where a movie will come out in theaters or play festivals or stuff like that, and people will see it with other people, and it would get like raucous praise. Like I'm talking Train Dreams, Frankenstein, Jay Kelly, or I mean Jay Kelly a little less, but at least those first two. And then they'll come out on Netflix, and then you'll see the swath of people saying like, "Oh, this actually isn't that good." And it's like, well, yeah, you're seeing it at home. Theaters make movies better, and I don't understand why evil Ted Sarandos doesn't understand that.
I think he does. I think that like the thing. So again, controversial. I think the best way to see movies in a cinema and a big screen is amazing, but I think the key difference is the amount of attention you have to pay, and I think that we're actually in a crisis of attention these days.
No, that's true. Yeah,
like I am constantly. I mean, if you look at my feed on say Threads, you will see like it's not quite this bad, but like every other thread from me is basically saying I am begging people to watch the things they're watching. Because it feels like they're not. It feels like they're putting them on and then saying like, well, that wasn't very good. I don't understand this. I'm like, well, if you'd watched the goddamn movie, you would understand that. And so I feel like the screen is amazing. Like, don't be wrong. I'm not trying to discount the fact that seeing Train Dreams in IMAX would have been more beautiful for me personally. But I am saying that like, at the very least, someone who maybe watched it with their phone out or with someone talking to them or whatever would have paid more attention in the cinema. And I think that's actually today maybe the more important piece.
I think that's like especially detrimental for a movie like this, where the finer details are so important. And if half the audience more than half the audience that's seeing this movie is distracted by their phone or whatever else might be at home, they're cooking while they watch it, they are going to miss out on those little details that could actually genuinely take away from the experience of watching a movie where the finer details are so essential in making it what it is.
There's a great scene in this movie where they're spoilery as hell, but like, there's a great scene in this movie where they're in the bar and looking for where he picked up the devil head thing, the part of the murder weapon. And Benoit Blanc is like looking at a picture and looking at the scene and looking at a picture and looking at the scene. And then Josh O'Connor notices, there's a bag in the picture. And in that moment, and I know that's because I watch a lot of movies, but I'm like, that can't be it. Like, there's got to be something else in that photo. And if you're not paying attention, it's hard to see if you are paying attention because the detail we're looking for is so small. But if you're not paying attention, like, would you have even noticed there was a bag in the picture? Like there's so much going on around us.
I totally agree, because the Knives Out is one of those movies. Like I agree with what Matt said. When I watched Knives Out the first time, I had an inkling of who it was, but I didn't know why. And if you're not actively paying attention and like actively like trying to work out the mystery, like I don't know if you're actually going to get it before they explain it, but that process is a part of the movie watching experience, the process of trying to piece together the clues and trying to figure it out. And if you're watching this just expecting everything to make sense while you're doom scrolling or being distracted, walking away from the TV and coming back, then it's not going to be as fun. The fun is in trying to figure it out, and you can't do that if you're not paying entire attention. So that's why in the theaters. And also, this movie is so funny. Like, I know that Knives Out is very entertaining, but I was not expecting to laugh as much as I did in this movie. And that's a part of paying attention, and that's part of being in an audience where like everybody gets to laugh at these things that are happening. Let's get back to Knives Out, and I want to know who your guys' favorite supporting character is. So we know obviously Daniel Craig as Benoit Blanc is incredible. Josh O'Connor, we have established, was also a really good leading character here. So let's talk about the supporting cast. Who was your favorite suspect here. Raj, let's start with you.
Are we talking like favorite suspect isn't who I thought it was, or just like my favorite performance?
I actually would be curious. I want to know who your favorite performance was, but who did you think it was?
I don't remember who said it earlier, but I echoed the sentiments on Andrew Scott just because I thought it was like, what is going on with this character? It's so ridiculous, so out there. Like I just really enjoyed whatever was going on there. And yeah, on the point of who I thought it was, I think maybe this is part of why the movie didn't work as well for me. Is like I kind of assumed that it was Martha, right? That's Glenn Close's character's name.
Yes,
but I didn't really feel like the payoff for why it was her. Like it didn't really satisfy me the way that it did with Chris Evans. Like with Chris Evans in the first one, I knew that it was him, but I found the payoff a lot more satisfying than I did with this one. So yeah, that was a little bit of my issue with who I thought it was and why that delivery didn't really work for me. But yeah, Andrew Scott, I don't know, something about that character just I found really entertaining.
Fair enough. Shawn, how about you? Who was your favorite suspect here?
My favorite suspect, please forgive me because I have not seen it since TIFF, admittedly, but I really enjoyed Darren McCormack as Cy, which is Kerry Washington's stepson, I believe. He's definitely the person. Sorry? Stepbrother, sorry. Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So she's taking care of him, but it's because she like kind of adopted parental control, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that he is one of, if not the least known person in that cast. And I really didn't see his purpose in the story at first, but I really enjoyed it as everything unravels. So I really enjoyed him. I think the movie got a lot out of him, and I really want to see more from him. But if we're talking like beside suspects, I think it's a basic answer to say Josh Brolin. He's incredible in this movie. Yeah, I mean the scene when they're in the like they're outside of the church and they're talking, about things. It's a lot of fun. Josh Brolin has so much fun in everything he does. It's so great to see. Yeah, those were definitely some highlight characters for me.
Good pick. Luca, who was your favorite suspect here?
Man, I think for me, the picking suspects is so fun because of how subversive these movies are. Like, we were talking about Chris Evans as Ransom in the first one, and you basically know it's him for the first, like, hour until he kind of, like, tries to whisk, I think it's Marta away, and then it's such a good red herring to make you think, like, oh, maybe this guy isn't the killer, even though he's literally, like, the biggest jackass in the room. And then it's kind of like a Glass Onion situation, not in terms of the title. I mean, what it actually means. Like, there's just so many layers, but it's also like completely transparent. Like, come on, like Martha's literally introduced in a jump scare. Like that doesn't just come out of nowhere. Like it's like Godzilla and -1. But like again, like it's the why is a lot more interesting than the who or the how. Like, why are they killing Monsignor Wicks? What's the payoff? What are they trying to accomplish? That's more fun. So I think like one can say, I mean, obviously like Martha is pretty scary, but I kind of will say Andrew Scott was just kind of a fun person to point the finger at just because of how funny he is in this movie. Like, I don't know, especially like as a journalist, like him saying like he wants to break out of Substack hell. That got my press screening. Like they were crying, laughing at that. So like it's just like great little morsels like that. But I would say Andrew Scott was my first pick. But then again, like the fun of these movies is not really the who or the what, but the how. That like again, like if you really want to think about it, like in the first one, Christopher Plummer literally kills himself for no reason. Like that's so fucked. And like but like it's because of the dominoes that were set, the chain of events that was set up by Ransom, that the how is so much more enthralling.
Yeah, and I think this one, the how is quite interesting because it's very much an impossible situation. It's
very meticulous.
Yeah, for sure. Matt, who was your favorite suspect?
I loved Glenn Close in this, like so much. My only note about Glenn Close in this actually has nothing to do with Glenn Close in this. It's that someone mentioned earlier that she's introduced with a jump scare. And like she shows up out of nowhere and Josh O'Connor goes, oh God. And then a few minutes later, she does it to him again. She like comes around a corner and scares him. And I really wanted that to be like at least one more time.
Yeah, recurring thing for sure.
Like a slightly more recurring thing in the movie. But I just felt like she really understood the assignment, for lack of a better way to put it. I felt like her portrayal of Martha as this very devoted person, and also very like strict and authoritarian, and very devoted to Wicks in particular. I thought she was so good. And then she gets this long monologue at the end that she absolutely crushes.
Yes.
And it's just, like Glenn Close is one of the best to have ever done it. And it's nice to see her. She's been in stuff lately, to be fair. But it's nice to see her back in something that like is really worthy of her talent.
I gotta say, I was getting echoes of Cruella.
Oh, Cruella. Yeah.
Like her Cruella. She's very gothic.
Yeah.
It's
this was probably my favorite thing she's done. I mean, she's done so much stuff. And I don't mean to discount anything in between now and then, but this is probably my favorite Glenn Close thing, probably since the late 80s or early 90s. Back when she's really great at like chewing scenery, basically. And I love when every time she gets to do that, she really understands like the tone of her performance is probably the most pitch perfect in the film, outside of O'Connor and Craig, I would argue.
Totally. And I think that's so I personally I had a feeling from her introduction and for most of the movie that it was Martha. But I think that what Glenn Close brings to this is this escalating silliness that comes with the franchise. I think that the first Knives Out, it's pretty serious. It's entertaining, but it has this like more serious tone to it. And I think as the movies have gone on, Rian Johnson has just had more and more fun with it. And Glenn Close is a part of that for this one, elevating the silliness and the fun aspect of these movies. And I think that she does it in an incredible way. Just really gives a great performance here, and yeah, like you guys are saying, really like emphasizes the style and comedy here in the film, while being, like Matt said, the authoritarian, like the really serious character, but also being silly. It's an interesting juxtaposition, I think. But
I also really liked that, like, and again, spoiling the end a little bit, sorry, but I also really loved, and this is more about the writing than about her in particular, but like I really loved that this time the murderer turned out to have done it for, maybe not exactly the right reasons, but at least for like noble reasons, like wrong thing for right reasons, as opposed to like in the previous two, like someone's just doing the bad thing. And so I like that subversion as well, that like she was at least a little bit sympathetic toward the end, even though she ended up being the bad guy.
Yeah. The character that I want to make sure that we talk about before the end of this podcast, who has a very, very, very small role, but still makes an impression no matter what he's in, is Jeffrey Wright.
Yes.
Oh my God!
I knew you were gonna bring him up. Let's go.
Got to talk about Jeffrey Wright, guys. Who wants to sound off about his short but very impactful role here? Luca, we'll start with you.
Line delivery of the year is, oh God, I really wish I could do a good Jeffrey Wright impression. He's so good in The Batman. It's when he's talking about the priest, the other priest that Josh O'Connor knocks out, and like he says in his like a signature growl, I'm gonna get close to my, he's like, little punk bitch, like that shit is, oh my God. I was like, that was the one moment where I wish that I was watching it on Netflix, because I would have liked to have paused it, because I just couldn't stop laughing and I wanted to like get the rest. Oh my God, he's so funny. They don't make him do comedy like he should. Like he's so good in what is it, The French Dispatch? Put Jeffrey Wright in more comedies, please. Oh, and American Fiction too, man.
Right.
Yeah,
I thought he was going to be like a one scene wonder, and I was so glad to just see him pop up at the end in that sort of mediation scene for those last 5 minutes. So yeah,
like Ethan Hawke in the last one.
Yeah, so good.
Oh yeah,
a great bookend. I mean, he's always so great. And yeah, everything he says is perfect. in the film. I can't remember exactly how he says it, but I love that the lines at the beginning around like what you're talking about too, where he's talking about like, look, no one's actually upset that you punched that guy. Like it's just so like he's so perfectly matter of fact about everything he says.
It's very anti-priestly.
Yeah, it's also very like it's that same thing that makes a movie like Airplane work, where you give like the straightest man the funniest lines, because like you know you need the most ridiculous stuff delivered like it's Shakespeare, and that always really works.
Yeah, that's great. Shawn, do you want to say anything on Jeffrey Wright?
Everything has been said. The guy is a phenomenal actor. I everything he's in, he just makes it better. I love seeing them together because it's a bit of a Bond reunion, which was a lot of fun. No, sorry, no,
I didn't even. Oh my god!
Yeah, but I mean, I guess just seeing Jeffrey Wright in general. Jeffrey Wright is just the best. Look, he's so likable. I've never heard someone say Jeffrey Wright is not good in something, and that speaks a lot about him as a person, I'm sure, but also just the actor that he is. Whether it's American Fiction, where he's the lead role, or he's in the movie for 5 minutes, like this movie, just steals the show because there was so much happening in this movie, so many amazing actors, and we're talking about Jeffrey. You want a whole segment for Jeffrey Wright. That speaks volumes to him. Like, he's the best.
Totally. So one more topic that I said we'll come back around to, and we'll close out on this topic, is the themes of the movie.
So actually, sorry. Before we move on, can I interrupt? I just want to ask two things. One, did everybody catch the Joseph Gordon-Levitt cameo?
Yes.
I did not, unfortunately.
I didn't catch it, but I read about it this morning, so I know where it is.
I just love that he's in every one of Rian Johnson's movies. So as you're aware, in the first one, he is the detective on TV that Marta's watching.
In the telenovela.
The telenovela. In the second one, he's the hourly bong of the time. And in this one, he's the baseball announcer on TV that Thomas Stoneham-Judge is watching.
That's awesome.
And then also, as much as we're talking about this not being a shared universe, I would just like to say that I would love to see more entries in this Noah's Again shared universe.
Yup.
I love that he shows up in all these movies as totally different characters.
In all of Rian Johnson's movies.
In all of Rian Johnson's movies. It's great. I love I love actors. I love directors that have actors they love to work with that love to work with them. And I love that keeps happening with Rian Johnson with these two actors in particular.
Nice.
Anyway, I just wanted to highlight that for a moment.
Yeah, no, good call out there. Yeah, let's last topic for this one. Let's talk about the themes of the movie. And something that as I was watching the movie, I wasn't entirely sure what we were going to get when I knew this was going to be kind of a centered around religion and faith and things like that. What are we going to get here? What's going to be the message? How are we going to fit wealth and the problems that causes into this narrative, while also I don't know, are we going to peddle some message about religion? I don't know. But what I found as a survivor of the Baptist church myself, I have my feelings about religion. And I think watching this movie, it was so interesting to see how well it balanced critiquing the church while also not disrespecting it. No matter who you are, no matter what your faith background is, I don't think you can walk away from the movie complaining about some agenda when it comes to faith. It just doesn't feel that way at all. There are, Benoit Blanc comes in, he has his critiques and he has his frustrations and his issues with faith. But then, you have Josh O'Connor, who in his character, who just clings to faith, and clings to what he knows about faith in a way that's so respectable. And so nobody leaves this movie offended. And I got to the end of the movie the first time I watched it, and it was like, that was incredible writing, just fantastic balance there, while also delivering an entertaining story. So yeah, let's just pick that apart really quick before we hop off. Raj, why don't you say a few things about this topic?
Yeah, I'm not Christian. I think it was the Catholic Church, right? I'm not subscribe to that faith. So like some of that stuff kind of goes a little bit over my head. But like the one scene that somebody did bring up earlier was the phone call scene with Josh O'Connor and the woman on the phone. And I think that kind of speaks to exactly what you're saying, Thomas. It's that balanced perspective and really trying to play both sides. And it is just incredibly sensitive. And I think it is a testament to the type of writer that Rian Johnson is, where he's not trying to like, just poke fun for the sake of poking fun. He wants to have a take on it. And I think that scene is really the anchor of the film. And I totally agree with the points that were made earlier about it. But yeah, like as somebody who doesn't have that same relation to some of those themes, like that scene said everything that it needed to say to me as sort of a quote unquote outsider.
Totally. Matt, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I basically agree with what you're saying, that like the film does criticize people with an agenda, but it's the people who are co-opting the message of Christ for their own gain that it's criticizing, right? Like, I think some people probably will come away from this movie offended, but those people need to maybe take a long, hard look in the mirror if they are, like, I also really liked this one where the first two movies are very much like wealthy people are corrupt. This film is also much more the power of wealth is corrupting force. I feel like it's a lot more, not more interesting, but like it's thematically deeper, I think, to be looking at people who are co-opting wealth and power for the sake of wealth and influence for the sake of gaining power. And yeah, I loved everything about it. I think as much as I think the first two are great for similar reasons, I think this one goes the furthest with it in the most thoughtful way. And I very much appreciate it for that.
For sure. Luca, how about you?
I mean, just to repeat what I said earlier, like this movie just has, and it's mostly Josh O'Connor, and not only him, but kind of Blanc, while Blanc literally, I think he just straight up says he's an atheist, Blanc kind of understanding O'Connor's perspective as a Catholic as the movie progresses. I mean, just that first little monologue O'Connor has where he's talking about like, this, not this, I think that's, first of all, great. That's such a good piece of little morsel of writing. That's such, Rian Johnson's so good at his job. But I think, well, this would make a great double feature with Sinners in a sense of like, kind of like these types of movies that tackle, temptation. I mean, for fuck's sake, like the MacGuffin in the movie is literally called Eve's apple. Like I wouldn't say it's a stretch. But I think there's also a commentary that Johnson is making as to kind of these cults of personality. Like it's a movie that's about Trumpism without kind of being about politics or directly about politics or even mentioning his name really. It's kind of like how we get drawn to these, these larger than life figures that can be polarizing, that can be alienating. But there's just something that kind of, I don't know, there's kind of like a pull to them regardless. And like, we see that in like those kind of, the prologue ish with Josh O'Connor, how, Monsignor Wicks is literally just scaring off his flock most of the time. I think it's just so, it's so smart. I feel like that's the more succinct way to put it, but it's also very thoughtful. Like, again, you have these, these sharp critiques of, Monsignor Wicks, not really practicing what he preaches. I mean, like he's a priest who, he says he like whacks it like 30 times in a week. Like, he's a walking contradiction. But I think that phone call scene that I mentioned, it's just, it just makes the movie's point that like, yes, absolute power corrupts absolutely. These types of, dogmas, they become scary, they can lead to, darkness and death and fear and doubt. But also faith is just faith, like when, I forget the actress's name again, but when she just puts all of her trust into Josh O'Connor over the phone, like that was, I was like, I was feeling heavy in my heart over here because it's just such a powerful and quiet scene. And it literally, I don't know, in a lesser movie with a lesser writer, where you'd literally drop the entire plot just
Mhm.
for 2 minutes, just so you can have this moment, it wouldn't work. But for Rian Johnson, just because he's a goddamn genius, it's probably one of the best scenes in his entire filmography, if I'm being completely honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
It's
Shawn, I'll
hard to imagine it being pulled off by almost any other actor
Yeah.
too. Like, again, just to echo what I said earlier about O'Connor's ability to turn on a dime from what he was doing to what he needed to do in those moments is so powerful. And yeah,
Mhm. Totally. Shawn, I'm gonna let you close us out on this one, and I partially hope that while you're talking, your phone rings.
The running joke on this podcast review, I don't know. You guys really like nailed it. I don't have a lot to add, but I just love the way this movie balances the criticism, but also the respect of the church and the way people view religion and have in their lives. It's not overly preachy, but you know it has its moments in the movie, and the phone call. Like we've said everything there needs to be said, but you know it's I think it's something beautiful that I think a lot of people don't give faith or religion the respect it deserves in that sense, because that's for some people it's something that they may need.
Mhm.
I just know people objectively in my life that when they've suffered loss or something awful, they turn to religion, and there's nothing wrong with that. They, if that's what they find, and they feel more fulfilled in their life, that's completely okay. And I just like that Rian Johnson has that perfect balance. I think that's the best way I can put it, because I'm not a overly religious person, but I never left this movie feeling like it was going more towards the one way or the other. And I know people that are religious that saw this movie and they felt the same way. They never felt like that part of the movie was the issue.
Mhm.
So Rian Johnson just really knows how to balance all that stuff, like all these genres, all these aspects about life in general. It's really impressive.
can I just ask, did you guys notice the church changed names at the end?
Yeah.
Like,
No,
I think
that-
that's so.
Yeah,
I think it's
yeah.
like such a good. They don't talk about it, but if you pay
Mhm.
attention to the what you're looking at, it's such like a small but perfect encapsulation of the message of the film. Because at the beginning, when O'Connor's sent to the church, it's called Our Lady of Perpetual Fortitude, and at the end, when he's taken over, it's Our Lady of Perpetual Grace.
Mhm.
And it's just such like a small, like individual encapsulation of like basically the whole message of the movie, right?
Mhm.
And I love that. I love that kind of detail too. And like a lesser film would have been like, we renamed the church, but in this case, it's just like it's just on the sign, like it's a great little thing.
Yeah, totally. What a great conversation. So we'll go ahead and wrap it up. And before we go, I need to plug this. So a lot of us saw this movie at a film festival. Most of us have been to film festivals, and I am looking forward to the next film festival I go to, because it is Sundance, and I want to tell these kind of stories in a short documentary. And so I'm fundraising for a short documentary project that I want to film at Sundance here next month. And so if you are interested in learning more, interested in supporting the project in any way you can, just head over to thisisforreal.com. There's a whole page with information. You can also email me, connect with me on social media. I can explain more. But yeah, any support would be appreciated. Really just trying to get awareness for this. And this will be my first filmmaking project. It's a very very nerve-wracking thing, but I know I'm surrounded by a lot of support of friends in the film community, so hopefully you can be a part of that. So yeah, head over to thisisforreal.com to support that project, and I appreciate you all in advance. Thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and wrap it up, guys. Thanks for joining us on this conversation about Wake Up Dead Man and Knives Out Mystery. We'll be coming back again next week. What are we talking about next week?
Avatar.
Avatar.
Is that next week?
Already, we're already here, man.
I'm glad you guys are so excited about this.
We're going back to Pandora.
We'll be back next week to talk about Avatar. Until then, we'll see you guys later.